Hello, and thank you for joining this free search engine optimization training about how consumers start the buying process online, brought to you by Social Ubiquity. Now, the biggest question is when consumers start the buying process online, are they finding your website? You can find ours at socialubiquity.org, and we hope that customers can find yours as well. And we're going to talk about how that happens. And so, with search engine optimization, it really comes down to needing to be on that first page of Google. But why does that matter? Did you know that the vast majority of consumers who start their buying process, their buying journey, start that online? And of the clicks that happen on that first page of Google, the vast majority of those are actually on the organic rankings. Those clicks are happening on the organic rankings. Now, the organic rankings means that clients and yourselves, consumers, right, are actually skipping the paid ads, and they're going to either a local map pack section, or most importantly, they're going down to the organic section right here. Now, all of this matters. It absolutely does. And don't get me wrong, paid ads absolutely have their place. And if that's something you'd like to have a conversation about, let's definitely discuss that. But for this conversation, we're talking about search engine optimization and the organic rankings and why that matters to your business to show up on that first page of Google. Again, the organic rankings are the general listings that are a little bit lower on that first page of Google, but they're extremely important because they are earning the vast majority of clicks that occur on there. And so let's get into that just a little bit deeper. Why does that matter, and what does it stand for? Search engine optimization, for short, it stands for SEO, or SEO in short stands for search engine optimization. And we define that as it's the work that goes into getting a website on the first page of Google. That's simply put, it's the work that goes into getting your website on that first page of Google. Now, don't confuse this with the work that went into building your actual website. And you and I might look at your website and we might think it's great with the time and effort and investment that you put into that. That's fantastic. But for Google to also think it's great, there's work that needs to go into getting your website on that first page of Google. Does that make sense? You see the difference there? The difference in the work that went into building your site versus the work that went into getting your site on that first page of Google. And that's what we're going to talk about here with SEO, or search engine optimization. So what that looks like is that when Google is showing those companies or businesses that are on that first page in the organic rankings, it means that they have done a great job of doing the work to get there. And that work comes down to two main things to Google. It comes down to Google thinking that your site is relevant. In other words, are you the most relevant source of information for the products and services that you have to offer? And the second part of that is trust. Does Google trust your site? In other words, are there third-party sources out on the World Wide Web linking back to your site? And those sources are building trust, and together with trust and relevance is what allows you to climb to that first page of Google to earn your way there. And this goes into that work that gets you on that first page of Google. Now, what does that work look like? Well, it's a handful of things. When you're the most relevant source of information, Google has validated that you have on-site SEO. That means on your actual website. Now, this is from a high-level standpoint, but it goes into some of the coding of your website so that Google can pick up on that. And it's going to go into some of the content on your site or how fast it loads. And think about this for yourself. When you Google something, if the site isn't loading fast, what are you going to do? Wait around all day, or are you going to go and reload that or try to find something else, right? And how good does it look on your phone, your tablet, or your desktop computer, your laptop, and so on there? You can also tie in Google Analytics and maps and things. But then also you want to make sure that your images and videos and stuff like that actually have a description inside of them instead of just a bunch of blank space that, or, image underscore 12345. You've got to label that towards, what your business and services and product offerings that you have there. All of this goes into building that relevance, is what Google is looking for, that most relevant source of information that they want to return to the person that's searching on Google, right? And so all of this relevance equals on your actual website or on-site SEO. The other part of this is trust. How is Google building trust or earning trust towards your website? Or how are you, and how is Google seeing that? And again, this is from a high-level standpoint, but this can come from articles that are written and link back to your site. This could come from a comment on an article that is written and links back to your site. This comes from a blog post, and most people in general are familiar with blog posts, whether it's on your actual website or a third-party blog post that actually links back to your site about top 10 tips to get ready for the upcoming season. And you're a source that is a relevant source of information, and so they're linking back to your site. a handful of other things, a website bookmarking, infographics, and then also local business directories. Google's looking for consistency across the board. And that consistency can mean, do you actually spell out your name, or do you have a number in your name? Is that number spelled out, or is just the number? And same thing for the actual address. Do you spell 600 N period, or do you spell 600 NORTH? And so Google's looking for that consistency across business directories and things like that. But all of this goes into building trust. Trust is happening off of your website, but it links back to your site. And so what does this process look like? Now, overall, it's going to take some time. Now, Google is in it for the long-term play, as you should be as well for search engine optimization. And so this is more the marathon approach, but that's what's going to establish you over time, right? And so first off is that you want to partner with a team that's going to do a site audit of your site. And it's not necessarily to come and tell you you need a brand new website unless that's something you've been thinking about. Obviously, we can have that conversation, but also just making sure that the on-site optimizations are made to your site, kind of a little bit of tweaks here and there so that your site can be relevant. And part of that is going to be looking at keywords that you can be relevant for as well. So you're going to start working on that on-site optimization, which builds what? That's relevance. And then you can start working towards building that off-site optimization, which is what? That's trust. Now, you also want to partner with a team that's going to allow you to look under the hood and bring some reporting to that. In fact, a lot of clients that we've worked with say that they've really enjoyed working with other local or even national or international SEO providers, but they weren't exactly great at showcasing the work that they were doing, and they didn't exactly know where their digital marketing dollars were going. So you want to partner with a team that's going to be able to share that with you. And over time, you're going to see an improvement in your rankings, where ultimately we hope that increases the ultimate sales for your business, right? As you're the most trusted, relevant source of information when people are searching for products and services that you have to offer. Now, what does this process look like as far as how long it takes? Well, over the first month or so, you're going to start building those on-site optimizations. And that's going to help you start building that relevance, as we've talked about here. And then once you build that, lay that foundation, so to speak, now you can start working towards things that are going to go and build that trust. And so the on-sites are very important, even though they're a smaller part of the journey, they're very, very important to kind of allow you to have a solid foundation to build upon there. As you build that trust over time, ultimately our goal with working with you is to make sure that you're ranking on that first page of Google within 6 months. And then once you're there, to really dominate your competition. And maybe at that time it makes sense to refocus some of the keywords and things like that you're going after. Now, every industry is a little bit different thing, so it really kind of comes down to a few different things of how do you price this out? And that's another question that we often get. And so really comes down to two things, which is market competitiveness and industry competitiveness. So from a high level, again, if you're in a smaller market with a smaller competitive industry, a smaller budget might be a little bit more appropriate. Now, what does that look like? Sometimes we see that as a solo practitioner, solo owner, single location, a handful of employees. You've got a more or less a basic website, a quote unquote online presence, right? But the website really hasn't done much for you, right? Might have been something that you built or a family member built, or maybe even got someone to do that, professional to do that for you. But that's something to consider. There's market competitiveness and industry competitiveness there. And so that type of environment there, let's have a conversation of what that might look like for you. Now, when it comes to a larger market, more competitive industry, and a more competitive business that you have in your market, a larger budget is obviously going to be needed. And so really that's going to, the type of personification of a business that looks like this or kind of fits this mold, they might have single location, but they also might have multiple locations. They might want to do more of a national campaign or have a bigger splash locally for what they're doing just to compete in their own backyard there. And these types of businesses have already done a pretty good job of branding and PR, getting out into the community. You probably even have a marketing budget that you have an idea of what to consider there towards putting towards digital marketing versus print media and other types of marketing and advertising there. And so it's definitely great to have a discussion about that to see what type of a bundled solution might work best for you and your organization there. And so, again, what goes into that cost is building that relevance. And again, that goes into tweaking some of the on-site optimizations there. So the copy and the code that's on your website and things. In fact, you'd be surprised of how many clients we talk to that tout that they're the best the best thing since sliced bread, but it really doesn't say anything about sliced bread on their website. And so we've got to make sure that you're a relevant source of information for the products and services that you offer, often and easily overlooked when we're out just kind of doing our thing, right? And so again, this comes in a handful of different ways of doing this type of work for building that relevance and that trust for the work that we're doing. So trust is coming from off of your site through a variety of different things, and then the on-site for building that actual relevance there. And you also want to partner with a team that's going to offer the highest quality work within the budget that you have to work with. Okay, the highest quality work. So in other words, quality, not quantity. You don't want to just throw every SEO tactic out against the wall, including the kitchen sink, and see what sticks. You want to make sure that you have a defined, dedicated direction that you're going to go with the budget that you have to work with. You want to also make sure that you are partnering with a team that can bring full transparency into the work that they're doing. That transparency into the work that they're doing is going to allow you to have a pulse on what's going on. Now, we don't expect you to be an SEO expert like we are, because that's why you're probably reaching out to a agency that can offer this for you. But you also want to make sure that you are informed and aware of where your digital dollars are going and things like that. And so you want to make sure that you're partnering with the team that can bring that transparency into this for you. And so part of that's going to be rolling that up through a reporting dashboard that is easy for the layperson to understand. So you can be the expert in your world, but still have a pulse on what's going on. Now, again, as the expert in your world, you're probably not so much the expert in the online space, right? That's why you also want to partner with a team that can bring that full service offering to you to help with those on-site optimizations and changes, or to help with those off-site optimizations and changes. But again, that's going to look a little bit different for every client that comes through, and so we want to have a discussion of what that looks like for you. But whoever you're partnering with, you want to make sure that they can do that so that they can build that relevance and that trust for you. And then you also want to make sure that they have a pulse on what's going on 24/7. So make sure that things are trending and headed towards the way that they are over this marathon approach there to search engine optimization, to earning your way to that first page of Google. You've earned the right to be there through relevance and trust. You want to make sure that you have a pulse on what's going on month over month so that you're headed in the right direction. Now, again, this is just a high level of what search engine optimization looks like and how to earn your way to that first page of Google and why that's important. We hope you found value in this, but please, what questions do you have? Definitely reach out to us at socialubiquity.org. We'd love to have this conversation with you. Hey, thanks so much. We look forward to speaking with you soon.